Hey guys, I don't know if you can hear me. I think you can. We are here. We're going to give you just a minute. Go ahead and tag your friends, share on your pages, share all the things so that we can pour more of this goodness into everyone, everywhere, and allow everyone to be edified together. It is a beautiful journey, and we're so glad you're here. And our first guest is just about ready here, so we'll hop on in just a minute. Perfect. We'll pull that off. Hi, welcome everyone. This is Gratitude for the Goodness of God. Thank you for being here. We're going to learn and share stories that strengthen your faith today. So as I was doing my scripture study this morning, I was pondering and meditating, and what came up to me was Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not to thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. And I've found that this is the case in life in many, many ways. And today you're going to hear stories from people who have lived very different journeys than your own, and people who have lived similar journeys than your own, and the ways that they have seen God in their life and how he molds and shapes and puts them in the right place at the right time to touch the right person, and how he shows up for them, sometimes in the hardest moments and sometimes in the most joyful ones as well. So thank you for being with us. And if you guys are cool with it, which of course we are, because we're all here and we're united in God, that we're going to start with a prayer, because I truly believe that when we add God into everything, it makes it better. And so as we're united in faith in this time, then the Spirit can descend upon your heart and he can give you guidance and strength for what you need in this season of your life to help you move forward with more confidence and more trust in him. Okay, so we're going to say a prayer. Thanks, guys. Dear Father, we are so grateful to be gathered together today. We're grateful to be gathered as brothers and sisters in thy kingdom across the world. And we're grateful for the opportunity to lift and serve and strengthen each other through community and through story and through sharing the evidences that we see in our life from you at all times. We pray that thy Spirit will be with us individually and collectively, that we will be able to feel and know what you would have us feel and know for this season of our life, that our hearts will be touched, that we'll be able to know who to reach out to, that we will hear something and feel inspired to share it with someone else, that it will lift and strengthen them as well, that we can all be fortified and strengthened through the atonement of Jesus Christ and through the power that you give us as we choose to follow you and to be acknowledging the goodness that you have and that you are in our lives. And we pray in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. So thank you for allowing us to begin with a prayer. I love that. And our first guest today is Raquel Miller. She is an amazing lady. I was privileged to be connected with her. As most of these guests you will find in the next couple days, it's a God thing. It's totally a God thing. And he brings people in so he's like, okay, do this event. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this event. And he's like, okay, talk to this person. Now sending people to talk to me that I didn't know. And it's just really cool to see how it all comes together. So I'm excited for you to see and hear from all these amazing people today and their stories, and pray that they will give you strength. So I encourage you to like it, share it with all your friends on all your pages and things. We're going to do a giveaway. There was a screen at the beginning, but if you weren't here right at the beginning, you missed it. So if you share with people, you can tag them, you can share the post, share the live stream so that they can hop on with us. We will be here for 4 hours. So that's plenty of time for people to jump in and out amidst their day, listen while you're washing the dishes or taking your kids to school or whatever that looks like for you. But invite your friends, and the people who share the most, we will have a special surprise for you and a special gift to say thank you from our hearts for sharing the goodness of God with everyone else. So we're going to bring in Raquel, and she will be right up on the screen here. Hello, Raquel.
Hello, Olivia.
How are you?
I am well, thank you, and thank you for welcoming me and such a wonderful message at the beginning, and thank you for introducing me to your wonderful audience.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so Raquel has quite a story of how God has guided her through her life, and it started at a very young age, and the community and the power of community and how that shaped her in her life and where she is now because of where she came from and those experiences she had early on. So can you give us a little bit of background where you came from?
Oh yes, thank you. Thank you for that. So I actually grew up in Jamaica, I grew up in a small farming town. I lived with my grandparents, and it was just really a small community of mostly farm workers. My grandparents, they owned land, so they hired other farmers. But in that community was such a feeling of friendship and caring for each other. And so how I'm now on this journey where I have founded a company that's all about giving. But back there in Jamaica, in those early days, was when this really all began, and I didn't even realize it. So in our community, there was a my uncle lived across the street from us. And every morning, my grandmother would wake me up. She would get me out of bed, and we would go and we would bring him breakfast. In fact, my grandmother supplied all his meals for the day, but the breakfast was the one where I had to accompany her. It was a time when I'm at home, not in school or out playing with my friends, and so she insisted that I would go with her. So every morning I would go, and with no little protest, right? I was always protesting why I had to go. It was literally only a few steps to get across the street. She could go by herself. One morning, though, when we arrived, I saw that when we knocked on the door, no one would come. And Uncle was crippled, so it would take him some time to make it to the door. But this particular morning, our knocks were insistent, and still he would not come. And so when we finally realized that he had died, when we finally pried the door open, we saw that he was halfway between the bed and the floor. And I still remember his body anchored between the bed and the way he laid there, and that image struck with me. But one of the things that really struck with me, that really stayed with me, was that my grandmother, we I thought this was my uncle. So I thought that's why, we took care of him so well. But in fact, I learned he was not my uncle. He was just a stranger, and he was in the neighborhood. And so my grandmother fed him, but the rest of the neighborhood really came and helped him move around. They seat him outside. They make sure that he gets to engage with passersby. The other women would bring him snacks while the men moved him around. It was really a community of caring. I should actually preface by saying, Livia, that my grandmother actually was not religious at all. She did send me to the church, and so that I learned a lot of those principles of caring and giving back. But she herself was not religious. But I think, though, what for me made her such an exemplar was that no, it wasn't just her kindness to my uncle, who was not, in fact, my uncle, but how she gave back to the community, and how what really helped keep me for many years to come was how that community really cared for each other. They helped each other. Some people had different gifts that others didn't, or some people had more wealth, but everyone came together in a way so that we were all living these really, really joyous lives. Later on, I went to live with my father because the schools in my neighborhood could not support me. And so I moved in with my dad, his wife, all my siblings. And this should have been joyous, but it was really quite wrenching. I really missed the countryside. I missed all those days running by the riverbank and playing with my friends. But when the thing, though, that really helped me in that transition, months after I moved to the city with my father, was that my elder brother, dragged me off the sofa one day and made me accompany everyone to the corner store, because that Friday was a day when my dad was would give $100 to the store owner, and people would line up for a meal, and everyone would come.
Wait a second. You've told me that the other day, but you said
Yeah.
that day. So was this a one day, or this was a like
No,
once a week day?
yes, it wasn't once a week, but it was consistently every couple of weeks or so that this would, and it would always be on a Friday. So just
Anyway, sorry, tell the rest so everybody else can hear it.
right. So I am now living in the city. I am not adapting well. I am really missing the countryside, my grandmama and grandfather. And so my elder brother, when he pulled me off the sofa, that's because he wanted me to accompany them to the corner store where my dad had donated the $100. And $100 doesn't sound like a lot, but in Jamaica in those days, it was a lot of money. So you would have people lined up all the way going down the street, and they were coming for their meal. And I sat there just looking at, just feeling a sense of pride and a sense of, so this is what sharing really means. Because my father, and I like to say that my father was many things, but one thing that really pulls me out of that depression that had really started to sink in was that sense of, here's someone who is also exemplifying this kindness and showing others how generosity. And so, and from people who could not repay him. These were, and similar to my grandmother. And that's when I really started coming out of my shell and really started to engage in my new community and with my siblings.
So is there a time when you think, when you like as a kid, did you recognize that, wow, he's being like God, like he's giving in a really heart-centered God kind of way? Or at what point in your life did you connect those two and you're like, oh, this is how God wants us to be?
I don't know that, and we were talking about this the other day. So I'm always exploring how I am always exploring, the question of, what our purpose is here, and how how do we find and fulfill our purpose. And I'm always one to say, I do not understand, I do not have those answers, but I know that I am driven by some means that, that has helped me to find this path of giving and giving back. And so I don't know that I can name it, but I can say that, having grown up for the first 10 years in a very religious church and community, my grandmother sort of being the antithesis of that, I was there in the middle, and I was, looking at all these, exploring these questions, these great questions of our life that I think that we're all exploring. So, but at one point in my life, I think that when I came to New York and, I was going to school, I left, I started working, went into a corporate life, and felt that I wasn't. Oh, I see how I'm to the window behind me, but I see that I felt that I wasn't. I couldn't understand why I wasn't happy in those roles that I had, found myself in terms of a corporate life, and at least in terms of those roles that I held in corporate. And it was years later when I really started thinking back to what joys I found in life, those moments in my life that were really, that were filled with so much joy and purpose. I think back to how anchored I was in the small farming town and the people around us. Everything worked. We worked together. Even going to church and Sunday school and all of that, really came together for me. But also just really continually exploring, what it is that my purpose is, but then really finding that joy when I found my path. And that's how I knew that I had found the thing that I wanted to do in my life. And now the source of it is still something that I am exploring.
I love it. Okay, so you have your seed. Your seed was that generosity of your dad. Your seed was that example of your grandma. And as you watch that seed grow, walk me through that. Like, how did you get from that seed? And then tell us what you're doing now for those who are like, okay, so you found your path. What is it? So talk to me about like how you saw God move you. Like this opportunity came and then this came and then this came and it kind of guided you to where you are now.
Sometimes when opportunities come, we don't recognize them as such. I think that I had earlier started on a path. I actually started I created a philanthropic organization, a nonprofit organization that helped communities speak to each other. And there was a time when I felt that maybe I really had a lot of joy in it, but at the time we had a lot of problems raising funding, for the organization to survive successfully. And so in those days, I really started to question what I really thought. Is this my real path? I don't know. It doesn't seem like I'm succeeding, right? But that was in many ways a precursor to the company which I have founded now, which is called Bunchful. The Bunchful organization is all about giving. Now, when I first started Bunchful, I started out as a gift giving company but I always knew that I wanted it to be something greater than just the exchange of gifts. I wanted it to be a real community of people giving of themselves, similar to my community back in Jamaica when I lived with my grandparents. So I knew that that was the grander plan, the grander design. But I, I worried. I, you know, I, when we first started, we faltered, took many missteps in organizational structure, in technology, and all of those things. And so, in those moments, that's when you question yourself. I don't know if this is really what I'm cut out to be doing. Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And so you keep questioning yourself. But I think, though, that questioning is an important part of inquiry into your own life and introspection into yourself to understand. And as you continue to question and you continue to unlayer the things that move you, that drive you forward, then you get to the heart of it. And so those moments were when I said, okay, I have found my path, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
What a beautiful path it is. So explain to us, like, so you went from the nonprofit of I can't get funding, I can't do that. What kind of things showed up that got you into where you are now? And how do you fund Bunchful? How do you fund? So what she has is, it's called Be Bunchful, and it brings together people who are givers and philanthropists around the world and celebrates them for their giving hearts. So how do you fund that? If you're doing prizes, and what is your funding? Do you have people who come in, like sponsors and supporters that way? Or how does that work?
So actually, Bunchful, part of what you've said, that's part of our company. But we're also, so let me first explain overall what the company is. So our company, Bunchful, is all about giving. And what that means is gift giving, as well as providing a platform or providing guidance for people who want to give and give in whether it's a small way, giving back to your community, or doing large philanthropic actions. And so we've actually developed technology. So one of our first technology is called Be Bunchful. So Be Bunchful is one of the technologies of the Bunchful enterprise. And the Be Bunchful platform is a is a platform where organizations of any size can showcase all the philanthropy and social good they do. And by providing that service to organizations, that helps with their customers, with their clients, with their partners, to say, okay, this is a company who is serious about giving and giving back. And so, because this is what we want to propel behind, this is what we want to help propel. This is how we want to see the future. We want this to be giving to be really part of a healthy lifestyle around giving back. And so you asked about our business model. So as a technology platform, we are a SaaS platform, which means software as a service. And as a service, so organizations who wish to use our platform would simply pay us an ongoing fee in order to have that maintenance. But we're also producing an event. Actually, we're producing two annual events. And our first event is called the Bunchful Future of Philanthropy. And through that event, where we bring people from all over the world who are really steeped in these discussions about giving, and what is the future of giving, what does that look like, how can technology enhance that. And so we have sponsors for our event. That's actually the Bunchful Future Philanthropy Summit is a virtual summit, so anyone can attend, and it's taking place tomorrow, Wednesday at 11 a.m. So entrance is free, but registration is required. Simply go to bunchful.com and you will see a link where you can register for the summit. So that's one of our events. We have another event.
We're going to interrupt for just a minute. I love hearing all about it, but we're going to get back to God, because that's what we're on our focus for this one. Sure. But in what ways have you seen him show up in, like, maybe your connections, maybe like, hey, I need this resource for my business, and then all of a sudden you find somebody who has what you need, or you find these people who are giving back. How do you connect with them? Is there a spiritual practice that you use that helps you to get an inspiration for what you're creating?
So and I go back to this because one of the things that I always say is, I do not understand the source of things. It is something that I explore and I question. And so there are things that have shown up in my life where, wonderful things. And how did that happen? How did that door open for me, where I'm not really sure how it happened? So I haven't put a name to it. I haven't given it a definition, because I really do not understand or know or understand its source or where it came from. But I recognize the goodness that has shown up in my life.
Awesome. Okay, so it sounds like you're at a different phase of your journey of seeing the good, but not necessarily comprehending exactly how it all showed up for you.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm sure we have people here that are in that stage of their journey as well. But I appreciate you being here and sharing with us. It has been an absolute delight. Thank you so much. Good luck with your event and with everything that you have going on.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll see you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, hi guys. How was that? Raquel was awesome. I love what she is up to in the world. And, I got to sit here for 4 hours. So I'm just going to crisscross applesauce here on my chair. But thank you so much for being here. I'm going to give you just a minute to go run to the bathroom and get some water and whatever you need to do, just quick run and do it and come right back if there's something that you need. And then I actually get to share with you one of my God stories, and it's pretty incredible. So I will see you back here in just a minute. Okay, welcome back. I hope you guys grabbed your water, ran to the bathroom, whatever that is that needs to happen for you. So really quick here, I'm going to share a story with you. One, if you're commenting, I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. I'm not sure what's up with the technology. This is a new one for me and we are learning. So if you can see it, comment. I'll go back at the end and watch all the comments from all the live streams and be able to talk to you and interact and share with you insights or things that I might have, but I'd love to hear what you are interacting and learning. So as you'll see down across the bottom here, it is scrolling and it says, if you're watching live, please make sure that you're registered. So when you register, you'll actually get reminder emails that will tell you when we're going live tomorrow so that you don't miss anything, as well as we have a little gift bundle that we're putting together from the guests who are here today and all kinds of goodies for you that you'll be able to receive once you have registered. But I can't send them to you if I don't know who you are. So please make sure that you register so that I can send you all those goodies as well. Okay, so I'm going to share with you a story that happened to me probably, 2017, 4 years ago? 4 years ago. It was New Year's Eve. And I had 2 or 3 of my youngest children in my van. We had a big white 15-passenger van. If you're in Utah, you might have seen some of those, maybe around, they look like the big travel buses that shuttle people back and forth from the airport, right? They're these big vans. And we had 5 kids. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Sometimes when I talk, God's like, okay, you're going to share this too. So I'm actually going to share 2 stories. We're going to start with how did I get that van? Okay, so we had 5 kids and I had a 7-passenger minivan. And I was like, okay, I want to be able to take my sister with me. I want to be able to take my neighbor with me. We have our whole family. We already fill up this van and I want this bigger van. And I was like, okay, God, I want this van, but I don't really know how to do it. And I had like a baby in a carrier, tiny little kids all over, you know, those stressful moments when as a mom, you're like, or maybe as a dad, right? You have so much that you're trying to take care of. And it's like adding one more thing and going shopping for a car. And I don't really want to do that, but I really do want this van where I can take friends and I can take neighbors and we could do homeschool trips and we could put everybody in this van and we could travel wherever we need to go to have these experiences and take people with us without having to say, sorry, you have to drive separate, even though there's just one of you because I don't have an extra seat. And so I was praying, I'm like, hey, God, I want this van. I'm like, okay. So I started searching. When I'm in Utah. So in Utah, we have KSL, which is like an online classified shopping type thing. So I'm going through looking for this van. Okay, what do I want? I want a 15-passenger van. I wanted it to be CNG and biofuel. So it worked with gas and it worked with natural gas. And I wanted it to be this way so that I could put my kids in there and I could go see my friend in Montana, which I actually never saw after we got the van. I'm sorry, but I never went to Montana. But it was this. So I took my kids, all of them, hauled them in my littler van in the middle of, I think it was July, all over Salt Lake City. So we drove like an hour to get to here to go see all these vans that were up on the classified section. I'm like, okay, we're going to see the van. And I would go and one of them was like beat up on the outside or the interiors were all ripped up or it smelled like smoke or whatever. There was all these things that were happening. And I just remember we got home from that day. It was like 5 or 6 hours with, 4 or 5 kids. I had all of them by then. It's definitely 5 kids. I had 5 kids. They were all in tow and we get there and I get home and I just remember I was like, oh, I'm so tired. And I just remember being like, okay, guys, go watch TV, go sit on the couch. And I'm just going to sit here and breathe because we just had a really long day in the heat with a lot of kids trying to find a van. And it just felt like nothing was working. And I was like, I know it's a righteous desire of my heart. I know I want to have this van. And I know that you want me to have it because it feels right in my soul. But why isn't it working out? Why am I finding all these things? And I had learned a lot about vision boards and I learned about mindset and about how we can create with our words and we can decide. And it's the asking, you shall receive principle, that when we ask for something, we can receive it, but we have to be open to it and taking those steps that do it. So I was like, okay, I'm doing the steps. I'm like looking on KSL and finding them and driving to look at them and doing all the things to be able to receive this gift, this blessing of which I was seeking. And so in doing that, I was like, okay, I'm doing my part. And then I was like, oh yeah, I wasn't very specific because I had said, I want a 15-passenger van that is CNG that runs well. Right. That was all I had on my vision, what I wanted. That was my request to God. This is what I want. And I looked and it was almost like he was teaching me on a deeper level, the understanding of the things that I had learned. Because as I was looking, I'm sitting there in my chair. The kids are over there watching their TV show, just chilling. And I'm like back over here at the computer. And I just remember it was like this moment of revelation, inspiration, and it like hit me. And I was like, oh, I wasn't specific on what it is I wanted. So I pulled up a Word doc on my computer, right? Pulled up the Word doc and I'm typing, okay, what is it that I want? I came up with a list of like 14 things that I wanted it to have. The rear air controls and I wanted it to like have the auto locks and the CNG, and I don't remember all the things. There was like 14 things on this list, right? And so I printed it out and I made this little checklist and I printed it and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Every car that I go to I'm going to like check these off and see how many it takes, right? And in that moment, I was like, okay, this is good. This is good. Okay, I have my request is clear. This is what I want. And so I'm going to ask God to help me find it. So I did that. I think I just said a prayer and I'm like, hey, please help me find this van. Like I don't have a lot of time to go around searching for all the things that I need or driving all over town 20 million times to go try out all these cars. I was like, all the ones I'm finding so far are not what I want. So please help me find one that will work. And that was my prayer. And then I had this little card and I just had a thought. And I thought, just post on Facebook and just see, right? So I posted it. I think it was just on my page or it might've been on like a community page. And I said, I'm looking for a 15-passenger van that's CNG. Does anybody know of one that's for sale? And I kid you not, it was like 5 minutes, maybe 10. And I got a private message from a girl. And she said, I didn't know her. I'd never met her in my life. She just saw it on this community group, wherever I posted. I don't remember. But she saw it and she messaged me and she said, we had one of those when I was growing up. I think my dad might want to sell it. I think. Okay. It wasn't listed anywhere, Nowhere was this listed. I didn't know this girl at all. I'm like backwards on my screen. My only step was get clear in your head. Know what it is you want. Feel what it is you want. Ask God, and then take the steps. Take the inspired actions that come, even if it doesn't make sense. Like a single post, it took me like 30 seconds to put that up on Facebook and be like, hey, who has a van like this? I'm interested. She sends me a message. My dad might want to sell it. So she gave me her dad's phone number. I think it was a phone number or email. I don't know. Somehow she gave me the way to contact her dad. So I call him. I'm like, hey, did you want, your daughter said, you might want to sell your van. And the reply was, yeah, my kids are all grown up now. And we used to use it for like lots of scout trips and stuff. And we don't do that anymore. It's just kind of sitting in my driveway. I think I'd like to sell it. It's like, okay. And so he was like, okay, tell me all your stuff. Tell me what this van has in it. So I went down the list, check. And it was like everything on my list. I think there was like one thing that it didn't have, right? And I'm like, okay, so you think you're open to sell it? And he's like, yeah, how much are you thinking? And I was like, what's the condition? So over the phone, I gave him a price quote. And I was like, okay, this is what I feel comfortable with. This is about what I feel like I can do. Do you feel like that's fair? And he says, yeah. So he's like, okay, can you come tomorrow and check this out? And I'm like, yeah. So I called my husband and we came the next day and we went to look at this van. So in looking at the van, I'm looking at it and there was a few little rips in the seat and a couple little things, not huge at all, like not a deal breaker. But I was like, oh, I don't really want to pay what I said on the phone, but how can you back out once you've already said it? I was like, I didn't see it then. And so I was like, okay, this was way before like all my journey of learning and growing. Like where I am now, it would be way more comfortable to just be like, okay, this is what's up and we just need to talk about it. But back then that wasn't my mindset. I was like, oh, is he going to pull out? What if he says no, thank you? And he's like mad at me because I changed my price at the last second and all of the things. And so I was walking around the van and I was like, got my courage up. I'm going to go talk to this man. And I walked around and he came around this way and he like met me on the other side of the van. And he says, now I haven't been out here looking at it in a while. I would like to, I don't think that it's as much as what we said on the phone. I'd like to make it this much, which was actually lower than I was going to tell him, if I recall correctly. And then he said, but I want to make sure it's in good mechanical condition for you. So I'm going to take it to my mechanic and I'm going to have him do a complete tune-up on it, make sure everything's good, that nothing's wrong with it. And by the way, while I'm there, I'm going to have him register it and insure it and do all of the things. And then you can come and pick it up because I'm going to be on a business trip next week. And I was like, wow, thank you, God. Thank you. Like, is that like, if you've been in that place where you have a lot of little kids and a very busy schedule, and it just feels like sometimes adding one more thing, even a simple thing, feels like a lot. And to realize that I could put that request to God and he can work out the details in a way that's bigger and better than I ever imagined. So then on top of that, it gets even better. If you can imagine, it gets even better than this. So we're there and he's like, okay, I'm going to do all of this. By the way, on the back of this 15 passenger van, there is 3 2-inch hitch holders, right? Which holds a custom rack, which is like massive steel, big old thing that will hold all of your camping gear, custom built for this van with this hitch that has 3 anchor points in it because it's so big and heavy. And I'm going to give you that for free. And I have these long like connector things that let your phones get charged clear in the back. And I'm going to give you that for free. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And so he was at a business conference. He did all these things. He says, the van's ready for you. I was like, oh, I'm going to be at an event. I'll be gone for 3 days. I can't come pick it up until later. And he's like, well, where's your event? I'm like, oh, well, it's in Sandy. So he was like 20 minutes away from that. And he's like, oh, no big deal. I'll just come drop it off, right? Drop it off. And so we're there at this event and my husband and I are in there and it's the lunch break. And he texts me, hey, I'm here. I walk out to like the entry lobby place. There's some little tables there. I just meet him there. I sign the paper, whatever, the bill of sale. He gives me the key and I go back in. My husband's like, hey, you're going to meet the guy. And like, I got the key. Like, how much more good can God get? Like, he arranged absolutely everything, placed it in my lap and said, here you go. I just did all the work for you. And all you had to do was show up. and take the little actions and choose to believe. And choose to believe brings absolute miracles. Okay, so that was story one. That's how we got the van. Now let's fast forward. How long was this? That was 2014, maybe? Yeah, so this was maybe 3 years later. So I have the van. We're going to Salt Lake. I'm down in Utah County. My husband's in Salt Lake. I'm headed up there. It's almost midnight, and it's on New Year's Eve. Okay, almost midnight, New Year's Eve. Dark, dark, dark. If you're in Utah and you know Redwood Road, is it Redwood Road? I think it's Redwood. Yeah, anyways, it's like 4 lanes wide, and I'm down, where is it? I can't think of it. Harriman area. Anyway, there's a Maverick down there, and there's like 4 lanes wide. Okay, it's pitch dark outside. I have 3 kids with me, all of which are under the age of 6, I believe. All of which are under the age of 6. And I can't remember, I had 2 or I think I had 3 with me, the 3 youngest, and he had the 2 oldest. And I was driving up there. It was nearly midnight, probably 11:30 at night. And we're going up this road, and then it kind of like curves down and then kind of goes up again. And as I'm coming down, I feel like the car's doing something weird. It's like, and I'm like, I don't like that weird sound. That's not a good thing. And then I'm like, okay, so a prayer in my heart. Okay, God, angels, get me there where I need to go safely, make everything work. I'm going to be okay. And then I'm like, okay, this is a really dark patch of road. Like there's not a lot of street lights. There's not houses. There's not cars. It's really dark. And then I could see up ahead, like there's a stoplight and there's a gas station and there's a church building. And I'm like, okay, just let me get to that. Let me get there so I can stop and I'm somewhere safe and there's a bathroom if the kids need to go and all the things. Okay, help me get there and get there safely. And so I'm a really bad judge of distance. But in that, I was, I don't know, 5 house lengths, whatever that is, 100 yards away from the stoplight. And as I was getting there and I felt my power steering go out. And if you ever had your power steering go out, you know that power steering is not a good thing to lose. And especially if you're driving I don't even know how heavy it is, a 2 or 3 tons or whatever, a 15 passenger giant van, minibus. And I'm driving this and the power steering goes out. And I'm like, oh boy, okay, power steering is going out. What am I going to do? And so I'm just holding, trying to force this. And it was like no cars. So 4 lanes wide and the cars were just gone. There was some over here, there's some over here, but not where I was. And I was able to get the van and I was trying to turn it. And my second youngest, like hops up and he comes over and he helps me pull. I don't know, maybe it was my third. I can't remember which one it was. I'll have to look back at my journal. Anyways, but he helps me turn the wheel of the car and gets up there and we pull it and the van curves around. So let's try to give you a visual. Okay, you got, am I backwards on there? I don't know if I'm backwards. Anyways, there's a 4-lane highway going this way. This is the cross street. Okay, there's the lights right here. And as I'm turning, there's a Maverick right here. It's a gas station. And on this side, there's a church building, but it's up on a hill. And so there's a giant brick wall right there. Okay. And so this 15 passenger van goes on 4-lane highway. You know what? I should draw it for you. Can I just draw it for you? I'm going to draw it. Sharpie markers. Okay. I like Sharpie markers. Okay. Here's the highway. Like here, lots of roads. Okay. So my van's here. Here's the stoplight right here. Okay. Gas station here, brick wall here, church building here. I have beautiful graphics. Okay. So my van's coming here. Power steering's going out. We pushed it over. Well, we forced it, right? We forced it over here. It comes up to this part and my van parks right there, which is a horrible picture. I'm sorry about that. So this is a brick wall. This is a double wide sidewalk. This is a road, goes here, and there's a Maverick here. And my van parks there. Approximately 6 to 8 inches away from the brick wall, perfectly centered on a double wide sidewalk next to a church at midnight on New Year's Eve. So one, I'm feeling a little bit safer because I'm next to a church and it's like a pretty safe area in town, right? It's not a crazy, dangerous place. There's a Maverick right there, which is helpful because I have how old was he? 4-year-old? I have a 4 or 5-year-old who needs to go to the bathroom at midnight. And I'm there with just other little kids in the middle of the night and they're all tired and they're in their pajamas because it's New Year's. And it was just crazy. And I was like, oh my gosh, we had angels. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so as I'm on this side, we got out of the car and we went over, and so the kids could go to the bathroom and use, they went to the bathroom at Maverick, and then we got back in the car and we're like, I don't think we should leave the van right here. So the church is here, and you up on the thing, we could get in there. There was like a fence that was open so you could get in. And so my son helped me, and we like pulled and pulled and pulled through the power steering, and we got it up in the parking lot barely and parked it on the side. And we wrote a little note that said, I'm really sorry, our car doesn't work, please don't tow me. And I called my husband, he came and saved us. But it was this moment of so crystal clear that God knows me, that he is there, and that he hears my and answers my prayers. No, it didn't stop my car from breaking. And yes, we had to come and get it later and fix it and get it. I don't remember if we had to tow it or we just fixed it in the parking lot. Anyways, whatever, I think we had to tow it. But whatever the deal was, we were safe. We were safe. And I could see the goodness of God in that moment. Not that everything went, oh, I missed the best part of it. I'm sorry. We're going to go back. Okay. So all that wasn't good. Okay. So it was that God was in every single detail of it. So the little tweak that makes this even funnier is the night before, or probably like a couple hours before, I was pondering on New Year's, and I was like, okay, God, I need more of you in my life. I need more faith. I need more strength for this season of my life. And I said, I'm not going to complain. I said, my quest is that I'm going to write in my journal every day. And when I write in my journal, I'm just writing gratefuls. But the caveat is this: I'm not just writing a normal grateful journal, my gratitude journal. I am writing everything that happened in my day, and every single statement has to start with, I am grateful. I have to tell the entire story of my day. I can't leave anything out of it. But in doing that, I have to do it all from a place of gratitude. And so as this happens to us with our car parked up on the side road, I was like, oh, wait, I just said that like a couple hours ago. Maybe it was yesterday. I can't remember specific times, but it was really like within 12 hours or so that I had said, God, I'm only going to write in gratitudes. And it was almost like it was my test. Like, are you really going to be grateful? Are you really going to look at things with the lens of gratitude, even though everything seems to be falling apart in this moment? And so I was like, okay, I am. And I just remember going through my journal that night, and I was like, okay, here we go. And I wrote them out, every single thing that happened that day. And I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but that I was grateful that we had angels with us. I was grateful that there was a street light, even if there wasn't a lot. I was grateful that there was not cars on that stretch when we had to turn. I was grateful that somehow me and my like 6-year-old had the strength to muscle power a 15-passenger van without power steering. That was not me. And that was not him. We were simply the mortal hands that showed up to use that. He used us and our efforts and our desires and added heaven power to it. He adds angel power to it. He creates it in a way that gives strength and courage and helps us to better be and become what he needs us to be and become. And that happens over and over and over again throughout all of our life. And I'm thinking people are on Facebook because it's not showing me your comments. And that's sad because I wanted to interact with you guys. So please write in the Facebook group so I can connect with you later, because I absolutely love the interaction of doing live, and my live comments are not working so well as I'd like them to. But even like in everything that we do, we can look, okay, what is the goodness in this? What is the goodness in this? We had some scheduled changes last thing this morning. I didn't think I was going to get to share my story with you. It wasn't a thing that I was planning to do, but I feel like it was something God wanted to happen. And so things arranged, and here we are. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful journey of how, if we're open to watch for it and to see that even the things that seem like they're going wrong in our worlds, they're actually not wrong at all. And there's always a lesson. There's always something deeper. There's always something that you can learn and expand, and it prepares you for what's coming ahead. Like those miracle instances, like I totally believe that we have angels with us at all times. And if we call on them, they are ready to help us. And if we cultivate a spirit within ourselves where we are in gratitude and we are connecting to God and asking for those angels to be our constant companions and to be with us always, that they are there and they're helping us every single day and every single step of the way. And I've had many of these different car experiences with angels. That was just the most profound and the most recent of them. But it was having that confidence that, okay, yeah, God's done it before. Of course he can do it again. If he can turn water into wine and he can take 3 loaves of bread and turn them into enough for 5,000 people with multiple leftovers, sure, he can help my car when that doesn't have power steering. Sure, he can help me run on no gas. Sure, he can help me know what to do to help this kid who's really struggling. That God's there and the goodness is all around us, and he is so there and so in the details. So I want you guys to write in the comments wherever you're watching from, whether you are live or you're on the replay. I want to know some things about you. One, I want to know who you are. I want to know where you're watching from. I want to know your insights. So as you're listening, please feel free to comment. You're not taking up space that's not yours. I am inviting you to do so and encouraging you to do so that we can create more community, more connection, more conversation around the goodness of God, because he is God and he is good and he is there for us. And as we recognize that and we share that with others, it helps to strengthen them on their journeys and to see their patterns and to see how God shows up every day of their lives in like working forward one thing at a time, one day at a time, that as you trust him, then he's there and he'll help you. And he'll give you the words to say when you don't know what to say. And he will put the people in your life that need to be in your life. And it's a beautiful, beautiful process. And I'm so excited for you. Okay, so our next guest is going to come up here in just about 9 or 10 minutes. But I have a super amazing thing I get to share with you really fast. So let me pull it up on my screen so I'm ready to share it with you. I lost it for a second there. Got too big. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we have a special thing that we have created for you guys, and I hope that you're going to be just as excited as I am, because it's amazing. Okay, hiding that one. Screen share. Okay, so when you signed up, if you have already signed up, there is this. Well, it's not looking like this on the website, but after you register, it will be taking you to a page where you can see the VIP bundle. This is what we have created for you, and it is fabulous. Let me put it up big there so you can see it. It's only $37, and it's like beyond amazing what is in here. So we're going to have a gratitude gathering, which is a live bonus VIP Q&A session at the end of each day. So anyone who purchases a VIP ticket, you will have a link sent to you where you can hop into a Zoom room. There I am. Okay, sorry. I don't feel like I'm connected to you if you're just looking at a screen. So here we go. So you'll get to join us for the bonus live VIP Q&A session at the end of each day. I'll be there, and then several of our guests from each day will also be there, and you can ask them questions about their stories, about their walk with God. You can ask them whatever you want, and we'll answer to the best of our abilities, and just be able to help you grow in your faith and in your trust and in whatever it is that you're seeking to know. Okay, you'll get lifetime access to all the recordings from this event. So I'm recording them. My quest is to turn them into audios. So it's just like a CD or a download you're going to put on your phone. You can put it in your earbuds while you're out for a run, while you're washing your dishes. You can listen over and over again and be able to hear these messages. And I know that for me, what I do is that I will save things like this and I will put them in an archive on my computer or on my phone. And sometimes I will just say, shuffle my playlist and just trust that God is going to bring the message to me, which is the one that I need in that moment. And it's a very powerful thing. And he always brings me the right one, whether it's a talk from someone that I have downloaded from a class that I took, or whether it's an audio track or a meditation or a music track, whatever that is. So I encourage you to create some kind of a vault like that for your digital assets, for your music, for your classes that you've taken, where you can refer to them and allow the Spirit to guide you. Sometimes I feel like especially with reading books or writing in your journal, sometimes I think, oh, I haven't read the whole thing, so I'm not done with it. And I came to the point a few years ago where I let go of that. And I'm like, okay, if I read this book and I read to chapter 3 and then I feel called to read this book, I'm going to read this book, and that's okay. And if I can read the whole thing, that's good too. But it's the gaining of the knowledge and the wisdom, and that the Holy Spirit can bring those things to your remembrance when you need them. So whether that remembrance is, hey, go pull that book off the shelf and read page whatever, or you just flip through it and you see it, or your journal that you wrote 5 years ago. I cannot tell you the amount of times I've been blessed by a journal I wrote years before, or a Facebook Live that I did years before, and it pops back up. And so being able to have these things in your vault allows God to use them and the Spirit to use them to re-inspire you over and over again, not just today, but tomorrow and the next day and the next year and 10 years from now, to bring you what you need in that season of life. And it's beautiful. And then you'll get a ticket to our Joyful Holidays Gratitude and Creation Workshop, which we're going to hold next week. And that will be so good. We'll hang out. We'll be in a Zoom room so I can see your faces and you can see me. And we will talk about anchoring gratitude, not just in your head, but really anchoring it down to your soul, where it becomes more of a part of you, as well as creation of what is it that you want to create in your life, in your family, in your... So some people think creation and they're like, what does that mean? I'm not really sure. But when I think of creation, I think of it as, what is my experience? What do I want to create? If I want to create connection with my child, I can invite my child to come and sit by me, and we can cuddle and we can read a book, and I'm creating an experience in that moment. So not necessarily just creation in art or in music or anything like that, but creation in the fact of, what is it you want to experience in your life? And then what can you do to set your life up for success so that you're going to have the structure in place, the resources in place, the faith in your soul, and be able to find those things that you need to help move your life forward in the path that you feel called to and that you feel God is calling you to. It's beautiful. And then we will have a 20-minute call just with me, where we will get really connected and clear on what it is you want, where you want to go, and then what's your next step? How do you get there? I'm happy to open my vault of ideas and my vault of people and connections and help you in any way that I can to move forward in whatever you're called and feeling called in this journey to do. We have a mindset workshop that's included there. We'll look a deep look on how you interact with your world and then how to upgrade your experience. Because lots of times we can have 3 or 5 people in the same room, and you can be in the same room experiencing the exact same thing. There's people all over that are watching this right now, experiencing the same thing, except for what you get is different based upon your paradigms, based upon the way that you think, based upon your experience in your past, and how you see the world. So we're going to look at how you see the world now, how you think you should see the world, and then kind of where you want to go from there, and how to adjust your mind and calibrate your mind so that your mind and your heart are working together to accomplish the things that you're desiring. And then we'll also do a natural health solutions workshop, which I love essential oils. I've been using them for over a decade, haven't had a medication over the counter or prescription in over 10 years, because I have these natural tools at my fingertips to help me to move forward and to help my body have the support it needs to function optimally. And it helps mentally, it helps emotionally, it helps physically. It's amazing. So we will do that together too. And then the first 100 people will join in a drawing, and I'll pull one of you out and you will get a 2-hour creation session with me. And creation sessions are magic, magic, magic. They are amazing. A creation session is when we are together for 2 hours and we will create whatever it is you need. If you need structure around a system in your house, if you need graphics or photos or whatever you need, we're going to work on all that together for 2 hours straight. I love you. Appreciate you. Okay, we've got 2 minutes until our next guest shows up here. Just a couple. So I'm going to give you a moment here. Go ahead and run to the bathroom, get your water, take your stretch break, jump up and down, get your wiggles out, because I know what it's like to sit in a chair for many, many hours, and it's not my favorite. But it's a way we can connect from around the world, and I love talking to you and being with you. So get up, stretch, get some water, run to the bathroom. Share your insights in the comments, in the Facebook group, wherever you can. And I'm excited to read them when it's all through today. Okay, have a great time. I will be right back for you. Hey guys, we're having a slight tech error. For some reason, the link isn't working for my guests. So hang on, just go ahead and have your potty break, have a little snack. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, another little tweak in our plans here. Something's wrong with the technology and it's not letting me add our guests back in. So what we're going to do is I'm going to end this broadcast and then I'm just going to start a new one and I'm going to go live. So if you're on Facebook, just watch for it. It'll pop up. If you're on YouTube, just watch for it. It'll pop up. Okay, I'll see you in a minute.